All right. Well, it was a bad move. It was a bad decision all around. And you know what? The offense wasn't a whole lot better. This is a tough loss for the Blue Jays, going down 3-2 in this series.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. As always, I'm Brayden. He's Carter first. Listen, we just got our hearts ripped out. I'm not going to lie to any of you. I think everybody felt that, and it comes off of we've had the conversation about bad decisions, the wrong moves. Was he right? Was he wrong with John Schneider? I think everybody and their dog knows that this was not the right move. We're upset about it. We're going to talk that. We're going to talk just how bad the offense was in that game, some guys specifically, but obviously we're going to tee up Game 6 as well, heading back to Toronto. Hopefully this team can lock it in, but we wanted to give you guys a bonus episode here. We might as well on the weekend. Your team's not in the ALCS all the time, so we're going to take advantage of that and talk to you guys a little bit about our thoughts and feelings on this one because, yikes. You can find us on Twitter, Brayden5 Carter first two as well, and our main one at Locked On Jays. You can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Blue Jays. And if you're new here to YouTube, hit that subscribe button. You guys have been killing it lately. We're almost at 4,000 of you guys, so that's unbelievable. Congrats, hats tip to all of you guys. We appreciate every single one of you. Leave your comments about everything. I'm sure we're going to get a few down in the comments below. Carter, my man, it was the wrong choice. Let's start here. It's the biggest conversation. It's the biggest talking point. It was the wrong choice. Brandon Little is not that guy. I've been saying that for 3 months. He is not him. But I want to start it here. It is completely unacceptable. I'm going to start on two things, actually, because one leads me into the other. George Springer goes down, taking the ball off the knee. He gets hit by the pitch, and the Mariners fans are cheering and applauding for George Springer leaving the game. And I was so close to going absolutely berserk on this podcast, being like, these Mariner fans, scumbags, whatever. And we've had good interactions with a lot of Mariners fans over this playoff series. This is completely unacceptable. In baseball, an injury is an injury. That is unbelievable. And I was about to go off and say, you got to be better than this. But what do the Blue Jays fans do, Carter? They decide they want to go into Brandon Little's wife's DMs, tweeting at her and his family, and Brandon Little threats. So, you know what? Blue Jays fans right now, and I don't want to lump everybody in together, but there are some fans on every team that are going to do this. So I can't get mad at Mariners fans, and we can't be upset with Mariners fans when our fan base is doing the exact same thing to one of our own players. Completely unacceptable. I was mad about this game. I was frustrated. I was frustrated seeing Brandon Little go in there and give this up. This is a game that Kevin Gausman was absolutely tearing apart. And what ends up coming of this bigger storyline is people being complete and utter idiots online. Unacceptable. We're better than this as fans. I am so sick of having to come on here, I feel like once every 2 months, and talk about a story like this. Grow up. And you know what? If you're listening to this and you were sending out threats and tweets, don't come back to our podcast. Either way, if you're a Mariners fan, grow up. If you're a Blue Jays fan, grow up. I'm just frustrated, Carter. I'm frustrated because of the game and then all of this. This is a kid's game. And this is what we're doing. We've completely lost the plot as fans. This is completely unacceptable. I'm mad about the game and I'm mad about the situation. And honestly, just a bad headspace after Game 5 here, Carter.
Yeah, and you were definitely right to be mad. You were definitely right to be pissed off about what happened in that Toronto Blue Jays game because it was not very fun whatsoever. But as soon as you take it away from the baseball, you make it personal, you take it away from this kid's game. Again, maybe it means more from some other people, but it doesn't mean that you can go into whoever's DMs and start threatening them whatsoever. So I think you can be mad at both Mariners fans. You can be mad at Jays fans, but it isn't everybody. And some fan bases are worse than others. I think there's more bad apples in some fan bases compared to others. Not saying that's Mariners or Blue Jays. I mean, if you listen to this podcast, you probably know who I'm talking about. But yeah, it's just unacceptable on both sides of it. Like, for one, George Springer, obviously the why they're booing him is because he was a Houston Astro, because of all the cheating scandals, all of that was going on for there. To start things off, the Mariners were, I'll just say, they were ass when George Springer was cheating when he was playing really good baseball. It didn't really affect them whatsoever. Again, that was so long ago. Like, it's not even the same team. There's so many different things. And this guy got hurt. He got 96 to the kneecap. That is not going to feel good. I don't care what the situation is. There's no scenario where somebody's hurt on a baseball field where you should be booing them. And then for the Blue Jays fans in Brendan Little's, whether it's his DMs, his wife's DMs, I've heard a lot of stories about this already. Just completely unacceptable, completely classless. Like, that's something that you can't do whatsoever. And I don't know what drives people to do that. Because yes, you can be frustrated, you can be disappointed, you can be mad, but that's taking something that happened on a baseball field and making it something way bigger. They should not be fearing for their safety because of what happened on a baseball field. And Brendan Little, like, he did not want to do that. Like, that Brendan Little didn't go out there and he's like, oh, I'm going to walk the house and then give up a home run to Cal Raleigh. Like, he probably feels like the worst person on the planet right now. So there's no point of going out of your way to go to his social media and let him know how big of a piece of work you think he is, because he already feels that way. So kind of getting that out of the way, we're going to kind of go in on these guys, to be completely honest, because they deserve it. And one guy in particular, the manager of this team, definitely deserves it. But keep it with the baseball. You can be frustrated, but don't be going to people's social media pages and threatening them, saying that you're going to do whatever to them, because that is completely unacceptable. But let's dive into it. I mean, it's tough to talk about. Like, this is probably the first podcast in a long time that I was dreading doing. It's not because it's insanely late here. We don't really care about that whatsoever. It's that this game was super attainable, super winnable, and it was kind of right in front of your face. Let's just kind of lay it open here. You get to the 8th inning. The Toronto Blue Jays are up 2-1 on the Seattle Mariners. You need 6 outs against the top of the order against the Mariners. It's Cal Raleigh, it's Jorge Polanco, and it is Josh Naylor. So if you guys don't know, Cal Raleigh, switch hitter. Jorge Polanco, switch hitter. Josh Naylor is a lefty. This is why John Schneider did it, and this is the only reason I can think of, is that we looked at the Blue Jays this year, and you're always looking for that positional advantage. You want the lefties going against the lefties. There was one lefty. It was Josh Naylor. The other two, no matter who you threw out, they were going to have the advantage from whatever side of the plate they were on, because you're switch hitters. And the hitters, at the end of the day, they are the ones that they're going to decide which side of the plate they're hitting from. So we look at, I'm going to start this off by just going into the semantics of, the Blue Jays side of this. In the circle of trust for the Toronto Blue Jays, and even going back to Game 3, when we had this exact same scenario, you have the top of the order up in the 8th inning. Who do you go to? You go to Jeff Hoffman, because Jeff Hoffman is the guy you paid to be your closer. Jeff Hoffman is the guy you threw the bag at to be thrown into these innings. And when we look at Brendan Little, this guy has not been good recently whatsoever. If you're looking at recency bias, if you're looking at analytics, if you're really looking at anything, it could possibly be to throw Brendan Little in that situation over Santander Dominguez, over Jeff Hoffman. It's just truly insanity why John Schneider ended up doing that. For one thing, it's going to be so much easier for fans to just have the guy that you paid to be the guy that kind of you go down with, whether it works out, whether it doesn't. If it was Jeff Hoffman, if it was Dominguez, again, Barlin wasn't available, but guys he acquired at the deadline, that's going to be so much easier for fans to take on the chin rather than Brendan Little, who, again, has been good this year at times. It really has not been good recently whatsoever. For a guy that was in a trade for cash considerations, it's a lot easier for fans to go down with their guys. But even looking at it analytically, and I have a bunch more to say. I could probably take the entire episode, but I'll let Brayden have some remarks as well. But this is what the splits were throughout the season for Cal Raleigh, for Jorge Polanco against lefties compared to righties, and obviously Josh Naylor as well. So when we look at Cal Raleigh, he had a 281 average against lefties and a 1,032 OPS against righties, a 231 average. That's 50 points lower than it was against lefties, and an OPS of 909. That is over 100 points lower. I'm going to do quick math. 123 points lower. His OPS was against righties than lefties. So he hits righties a little bit worse than he does against lefties. You look at Jorge Polanco, a 305 average against righties, a 354 average. Again, 50 points separating these two. You look at the OPS, 888 OPS against lefties, 802 OPS against righties. Right there, very obvious stats. You can go into WRC plus. You can go into, again, there's so many underlying stats that will show you this, that Jorge Polanco and Cal Raleigh hit lefties better. So you look at the analytics side, they hit lefties better. You look at who you have in your bullpen. Are you going to trust Anthony Dominguez more? Do you trust Jeff Hoffman more than Brendan Little? You probably trust Louis Varland more. I know he wasn't available. Brayden Little maybe is your fourth guy in your circle of trust. To throw him in the 8th inning where the analytic advantage is not there, you don't trust the guy, the name on the paper as much as you do with some of your other guys. I've been the guy that has been defending John Schneider fairly avidly throughout this entire postseason. I really just didn't give him the game one. This is one that if you don't win those 2 games, people are going to look back at, and they're going to have a very hard time forgiving John Schneider for this decision that was honestly right in front of his face.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you. I was right there along this whole ride with you, agreeing that, there were situations that I agreed that John Schneider made the right call. This was a very, very bad call. And you know what? We could go on and on about it. And you guys will in the comments, I'm sure. And, we're all in the same boat with you. This was a bad decision. Brayden Little, I've been very outwardly for the past 3 months not trusting this guy. I could see it. I could see the future coming here. This is a guy that can't locate his pitches. Yes, his pitches break. But as soon as guys catch on to that, it's like, oh, if it's in the zone, it's a meatball. If it's outside of the zone, don't swing. It's not rocket science, especially for postseason teams when guys are locked in. This can't happen. This can't be a guy that you rely on here. There had to have been a better option, and there was. It was Jeff Hoffman. It was Jeff Hoffman going against the best part of their order.
And they just did that the day before. Like, where did the script go? It just sort of interrupted. It just doesn't make any sense. And I actually want to go into a quote. This is why I interrupted on why John Schneider decided. Like, this is his reasoning for going Brayden Little over a guy like Jeff Hoffman or Anthony Dominguez. John Schneider says that he wanted to make that specific part of the lineup see different guys. I mean, if you were so worried about them seeing Jeff Hoffman 2 times in a row, why are you throwing Jeff Hoffman in an 8-2 ball game in game 3? And like, does John Schneider not know that there's, like the Treyarch or whatever that big robotic machine is at the Rogers Center? They're not the only team that has that. There's film, there's cameras all over the game. There's scouting reports. I don't really think it's a thing anymore where, unless it's like Trey is Savage and maybe you don't see him at the MLB level, but I don't think it's a thing where you got to save guys' bullets. You can't show the other team what this guy has unless it's like this crazy unique situation. There is loads of tape out there on Brayden Little, on Jeff Hoffman, on Anthony Dominguez, and you saw it in their approach. You know what Brayden Little is going to do, exactly what you said. He's not going to be in the strike zone that often, especially early on in the count. So what do? You make him throw a strike. You make him get ahead of you in the count because most of the time he is not going to be able to do that. So just to say that as your excuse to kind of like go back and defend yourself, again, that's not at all what I wanted to hear. And honestly made me more pissed off about the whole situation.
Well, and Carter, I think the worst part about all of this, to me anyway, is that Kevin Gausman goes out there and throws an absolute gem. He is the exact guy everybody's been asking for all season. Please give us prime Kevin Gausman. This looked like prime Kevin Gausman. This is the game you want to take. You're set up perfectly to go Kevin Gausman, to go Trey Savage. And if that one doesn't go good, you got Shane Bieber for game 7. But you lose with the best guy on the mound because your bullpen can't pull it together. And not only can your bullpen not pull it together, the offense sucks. This is the problem with this team. If they're not on, they don't do anything. Runners in scoring position. Bases loaded. It's 3 of the worst swings I've ever seen by Daulton Varsho. Ernie Clement. That's a brutal
so
play.
Man. So unlucky.
But you can't go and strike out in Daulton Varsho's position. Put a ball in play and you score a run. And I know I'm getting frustrated. And we're going to talk more and more about a lot more stuff, but we got to take a break. We'll be right back after this because there's a ton from this game that we can break down. And obviously, we're going to tee up Game 6 for you guys when we come right back.
Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Every day we make decisions, but on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss the excitement from this football season or baseball season with Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Playing Prize Picks is so much fun. It's a simple and very exciting way to play football, baseball, NHL, fantasy, you name it. You just pick more than or less than on player stat projections like Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon Barkley's rushing touchdowns, and you're right in the game. So unfortunately for us, people that like me, that I love fantasy, I love, hammering my bets as well, but there's no NFL There is no MLB baseball because the Dodgers are playing T-ball against the Milwaukee Brewers. So I had to take my talents over to the NHL. I'm in some NHL fantasy leagues as well. So I am riding the Tampa Bay Lightning. I got Victor Hedman. I got Jake Gensel. I got more than half a goal for Jake Gensel. I got more than half a point. So he just needs one from Victor Hedman. I always like to kind of mortgage my bets, you could say. I'll always have the fantasy lineup, and then I usually make my prize picks lineups based off the fantasy matchup so I can really double down and make my money and make fun of my friends a little bit as well when I beat them in fantasy. So you can download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right.
So, Carter, as we continue on here, there's a lot to get to. We got to talk about the offense. Obviously, we went over.
Can we jump back quick? I'm not going to spend too much time on this because we've already spent a lot of time. But Brendan Little, obviously not very good. Why are you going to Seranthony Dominguez all of a sudden?
Right after that? Yeah, unbelievable.
For another guy that if it's going to go bad for Seranthony Dominguez, he's going to walk the house. And again, that's impossible situation for literally anybody. I think if Jeff Hoffman goes in there, it's Dominguez, it's whoever, they probably don't succeed because just good luck. Thanks, Brendan Little, for setting us up like that. But yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense going to Seranthony Dominguez. You see him hit the batter and then obviously give up the home run. Seranthony doesn't really give up home runs, so maybe that's why you throw him in there. So I just kind of want to say that. Just very interesting move to try to save your own butt. You go to a guy that kind of has the same issues that Brendan Little has.
Yeah, it did make a lot of sense. I was pretty frustrated because that's exactly what I said. I'm like, you're bringing in a guy with 2 runners on that throws walks, and that's what he did. And
then Jeff Hoffman gives up moonballs. So that's at that point, who do you throw in? So I'm not as mad about that part,
but you made the bad choice to start everything off. So you put yourself in a rough position. But Carter, I want to talk about the offense. Because yes, we're going to sit here. All the fans are going to sit here and they're going to be calling for John Schneider's dome. They're going to be yelling at Brendan Little, and that's all fair and well and good. But this offense had opportunities to do damage and put this game way more out of reach. But instead of doing that, this is the situation where bases loaded, and went over it just in the previous segment. Daulton Varsho takes 3 of the just most horrendous swings I've seen. And just has no clue at the plate. And then Ernie Clement punches that ball into the ground. That's a tough
worst
play.
Case scenario. That's literally what that was.
But Varsho has to do something. And I don't want to hammer on Varsho because I really like Daulton Varsho. But man, this guy has disappeared from the face of the earth offensively. And then he'll reappear for a game or two, and you're like, oh my God, this is what Daulton Varsho can be. But then, man, when he is off, he is absolutely off. And I did want to throw this in here just before we keep going as well. It was a sort of a crazy night for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He's the first player in Blue Jays history to be intentionally walked twice in a playoff game. So sort of cool, but they figured it out. Don't let the best player kill you, right?
Who would have thought? Maybe the Blue Jays should do that with Cal Raleigh once or twice. That might help them out a little bit. But again, I don't know, you can't really say that Cal Raleigh's the only guy doing things. Obviously, Jorge Polanco's been very good. Randy Rosarena's had his moments. Josh Naylor just hitting home runs too. They have some guys as well. So with the Toronto Blue Jays, Alejandro, Kirk, Varsho, you need these guys to show up. But with Varsho, what I've really been noticing, I think we've really seen a boomer bust approach from Daulton Varsho. It really looks like he's just selling out for power. It's just he's selling out for extra base hits, which I don't necessarily mind in the grand scheme of things. But again, a lot of baseball situational hitting. The chases in that at bat. I'm a big Daulton Varsho guy, but my goodness, man, what are you swinging at? Just horrible swings, especially the third strike swing. That's just a ball. It's never a strike. It barely makes it to the plate. I don't even think it did make it to the plate. But that's a swing that you don't the home run is obviously unbelievable. That moment, Eugenio Suarez. I wish that was Daulton Varsho in the 4th inning, but all you needed there was a ball in play. Even if it's on the ground, it's Daulton Varsho. You probably don't get doubled up with the speed that he does possess. But again, a fly ball, just really you wanted contact. And it didn't really look like that was his approach at the plate. It looked like Daulton Varsho was swinging for the fences. And it kind of looked like that Bryce Miller and then the bullpen kind of figured that out a little bit as well later on in the game. But yeah, just not very good at bats from Daulton Varsho. We've kind of said it a lot. Is that you're going to need Alejandro, Kirk, Vladdy, and Daulton Varsho, those 3 specifically, to kind of come up in some big moments. Daulton Varsho was not able to get it done in that moment. You have 3 innings in a row where you have a leadoff double. You only score in one of them. Like IKF, it's a leadoff double. Like it was going back to that kind of the second inning. I thought we were going to see some Andres Gimenez magic again because it was being set up the exact same way. The Seattle Mariners score runs, and then we get a leadoff double. It was Ernie Clement, and then it was IKF, and then it was IKF once again. The exact same situation. It's the third inning, IKF double. Who is it? Andres Gimenez, and then again, very unlucky. So that's the thing with the offense. You don't really get the results, but I feel like they weren't very lucky as well. Again, at some point, you can't make excuses, but there was a lot of hard hit balls. Like Andres Gimenez smokes that ball. Again, he gets like a double play at second. Like it's just tough. Like that's another tough play for the Toronto Blue Jays. Again, it happens, but you need to come up in bigger situations. Like you only scored 2 runs in the baseball game. Like we've seen the Blue Jays, if they can score 5 runs, like chances are there's like a 98% chance they're going to win that game. And we've really seen it throughout this entire series. When the offense shows up, they're going to win the game. The Blue Jays offense, debatably, is the best still left in the playoffs. Maybe it's the Dodgers. I'm not going to get mad at you if you say that. But really, when you look at the pitching, especially on paper, it doesn't necessarily match up. This team has really been carried by their offense this entire season. Their offense has been their juggernaut. We've had issues with the bullpen. We've had issues with the starting pitching. The offense, pretty much the entire year, has been consistent, has been really been the carrying force of this team. And we need to see it again. They're going to have to show up for 2 straight games. Luckily for Toronto Blue Jays fans and the Blue Jays, they are at the Rogers Center, so things are looking in their favor. But I mean, hey, look what happened in the first 2 games. It's baseball. Crazy things can happen. But yeah, the Toronto Blue Jays have laid their bed. Now they're going to have to fight and tear to try to get themselves back into the series.
Yeah, and you know what? That's sort of where I want to take this a little bit. Is it's not all bad. This isn't over, right? It's 2 games at home at the Rogers Center. I mean, can you? Yes, this game did not go the way you wanted it to, at all. I'm right there with you. I was shaking my head. I was getting frustrated. It ruined my night. I'm not going to lie to anybody. But the other thing that's going to be swept under the rug of all this game is Kevin Gausman. He was fantastic. And I know I talked about it before, but there are a few things that are not going to get talked about in, the mainstream when you're watching whatever, Sportsnet or TSN. It's not going to be how good Kevin Gausman was or how the offense maybe didn't show up when they needed to. It's all going to be John Schneider. It's all going to be Brendan Little. It's all going to be Sir Anthony Dominguez. A Sportsnet postgame. What were they talking about for the majority of it? John Schneider.
I think, how can you not? Like that is still for me. Like I don't care what the offense did. You're up 2-1 in the last 2 innings of a baseball game. You got to win. You simply have to win.
Yeah.
I think like before the game, if you would tell me like, oh, the Blue Jays scored 2 runs, I wouldn't be that mad. But the way that they lost this baseball game and how attainable it felt to win the game is where a lot of fans, I think, are going to be upset. And that's why you see everybody talking about the Brayden Little decision. Yes, at that point, you got to win. And
I'm not saying that's wrong. But also, I think, Carter, we've said it all year. If you score 2 runs, you're not going to win a baseball game. So it's, again,
that's more of a generalization. Like, again, it's all specifics. It's all situational.
You're right. Yeah, I agree with you. But in the same respect, it's things going from game to game. It's the bigger picture. Yes, this is the main storyline. It has to be. But there are certain components of the game that we're not going to be talking about. And it could be the bigger problem coming home for game 6 and possibly a 7 is, can this offense get back to it? Can they score with runners in scoring position? Can they bounce back and do that? That's huge. I mean, we could sit here all the live long day and talk Brendan Little and John Schneider, but we've had moments like this all year. We've talked about Brendan Little for 3 months about doing the same thing. And so why people now are just getting on this blows my absolute mind. Why John Schneider is on this blows my absolute mind. And I'm getting frustrated because you're right. This game was right there. I was thinking, oh my God, this team is going to win 2-1. And, it would blow my mind. But instead, it goes this way. So, yes, I don't know. I just don't want to pass up on the Kevin Gausman, how great he was tonight. Let that get lost in the weeds because he was excellent. And I hope people do understand how good he was when you look back at this.
Absolutely. I think Kevin Gausman will be the thing that is swept under the rug. And he already said that he's going to be cleated up and ready to go for game 7. Didn't expect anything less. But with Brendan Little, like he brought it up, that I think Jays fans have really seen like the issue with Brendan Little and like how it could go wrong. But for some reason, it took the rest of the league until September to figure it out. Maybe in the middle of August, But now, like, people know, just lay off of pitches early in the count against Brendan Little. But what I will say is that I think predominantly you got to blame John Schneider and Brendan Little again. If you tell me for game 6 and 7 that this Jays offense is going to score 2 runs, like, that's it. Like, you might as well like not even go back to the Rogers Center. You're not going to win with 2 runs most of the time. So as a generality, I would say, yeah, like the offense, and that's why we use the generality of the 5 runs. If you get 5 runs, again, about 98% of the time, this team is going to win baseball games. And most of the time, you're going to have to score more than 2 runs. So in game 6 and game 7, this offense is going to have to be better. You had your best pitcher on the mound, the guy that I would say everybody is the most confident in. Trey Savage, I'm still very confident in him. Shane Bieber, I think he can do very good as well. But it's Logan Gilbert. It's George Kirby. And that's the crazy thing about baseball is that there's everything on paper. You could say that, oh, the advantages are here, the advantages are there. But it all comes down to what is happening on that baseball field. Who has it? Who doesn't? Are the pitches working? Does the swing feel good? It's really day to day in baseball. So that's why I'm like I am worried, obviously. You're down 3-2. This is like elimination games. It's must win from now on. But if you would ask me, like, was game 5 a must win? I think it was a bigger win for Seattle. I think Seattle needed that game way more than the Toronto Blue Jays needed, just based off momentum, just based off the trajectory of the series. It isn't great. It isn't the way I wanted it to happen, but I am definitely not out on this Toronto Blue Jays team. I mean, I've been the guy that said it this entire year, is that when this team gets punched in the face, they punch right back and they answer back. What I will say is that I think we got to talk about this, the George Springer thing, because you see the fastball obviously off the knee. That's not going to be great. And maybe you think, hey, like it's Nathan Lucas kind of had the same thing. He had a day off, like he's going to be back. I don't know if you picked this up. I picked this up just from like the on-field mics. I don't know if it was the umpires. I'm not exactly sure whose it was. But after Springer got hit, and again, it is a 96-mile-per-hour fastball off the knee, but he says, I can't move it. Not what you want to hear. Again, very it's speculatory. I did hear that for sure. Again, he just got hit by a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. Like, it's not going to feel good. There's probably going to be some swelling. He's not going to be, 100%. That knee's not going to be perfect. But if George Springer's not in a wheelchair on Sunday, like, he's probably going to be playing for this baseball team. But I will say, if you don't have George Springer, and I really hope they do, at some point, you don't have Bo, you don't have George. They're walking Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And I know this team's motto has been, we've really gotten production from everybody and everybody. But at some point, it seems like a lot up to go up again. So we really need George Springer. I'm not going to lie. We need him badly for that Sunday. Well, and maybe it matters more for the fan base, because I think no matter what happens, like, the team is going to be dialed in. They're going to, be ready to go to war. But for the fans, seeing George Springer and how important he's been to this team's success, for the fan base, it would be a tough pill to swallow going into game 6 without Springer. Yeah.
And Carter, you brought up when he got hit. I mean, there are moments where, you jar something. Like, I even think back to me running into the boards in hockey and thinking, oh my God, I just broke my arm because from my elbow down, I couldn't move. Like, nothing was working. But you jar a nerve or you jar a muscle too hard. And sometimes everything goes numb. I mean, I've had it. I've gotten hit by pitches in the shoulder, and, you can't lift your arm past your armpit, right? That happens. So I'm not full panic mode. I don't think anybody should be. Obviously, it's 96. So absolutely things could go wrong, and you might not see him next game. But I don't think it's quite time to panic about it until we see the lineup.
Well, and they came out and they said it was like all the tests were negative. So there is no structural damage. Like, it would just be a right knee contusion or left. I think it would be left knee contusion for George Springer, just based off of what it was. But again, probably a little bit more cause for concern, but it's George Springer. Again, like, unless he gets ran over by a car going to the Rogers Center, knock on wood, don't even want to put that out there. I expect to see George Springer on the field for game 6.
Yeah, we're going to take a break. We'll come back. We're going to tee it up. We got to tee up game 6. Let's talk about it. Talk about where we are, because I don't want to leave this episode on a bad note. This team is not in, yes, obviously facing elimination for sure, but it's not the absolute end of the world. This is still attainable. It's still here. Let's talk about it on the other side. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. You guys know how much I love FanDuel. I've been placing bets on the Jays like crazy, actually winning, and actually I've been doing better at NFL. I've been going against my intuition. So don't take my betting advice. But the NFL season's here. Baseball's still on. Hockey, CFL, whatever you want to bet on. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if that bet wins. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Honestly, they got the same game parlays. They got the ones that show a little like heat emoji type of thing. And that shows you what everybody else is betting on. So, hey, maybe people are onto something here if they're betting on that. So you can take advantage of all of those as well and get those $300 in bonus bets to use to make yourself some money. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com, download the FanDuel app today, and get started. Okay, let's start here. We've covered all the bad. Okay, we're going to leave this all in the past for now. Don't get me wrong. When this season comes to a close, I'm sure we're going to have many.
I got one more thing. I'm sorry. I have to do it to you once again. Who would have thought? But okay, so that happened. Obviously, I do agree we got to put in the past, but this is a question that we do have to bring up. Does this moment change the way that John Schneider is going to manage the bullpen? Because unfortunately, from everything we've seen in the postseason, this kind of felt like it was just inevitable. It felt like it was going to happen at some point. He was going to make a wrong decision, whether it was pulling the starter too early, putting the wrong guy in. Does he still trust Brendan Little, or is he going to change the way that he's going to manage these baseball games? Because like this is not like, let's be honest, fans have not been trustworthy of John Schneider throughout this entire playoffs.
If baseball was played by robots, no. If you could just go out there and say, this is what Brendan Little, what he has and how his pitches move, and this is the speeds and this is his accuracy, like I'm playing MLB The Show, maybe not. But we talk about belief and confidence and the ability to go onto the mound and have the belief that you are better than everybody else you are facing. Brendan Little was the most shell-shocked I've ever seen a human being post-game. The confidence is gone.
Yeah.
And it's been gone for a while. So no, Brendan Little is probably no longer a viable option.
So
unless it's 15-2.
That's the issue though. Is again, who's your lefty? Like, is it Eric Lauer? Is it a guy that hasn't been that bullpen arm the entire season?
Don't go to a lefty.
Again, maybe it's just trust your guy at this point. And maybe this is a bigger issue. Again, haven't really talked about this guy in a while because things have been going pretty well. But you look at the trade deadline, and one thing that people have said is, hey, maybe you need one more bullpen arm. You don't have that Andres Munoz. You don't have that killer out of the bullpen. You have a bunch of guys that you can see in a lot of different ways that, hey, maybe it could go wrong. So maybe it's a personnel issue at this point. Again, we're not going to really talk about that because what are you going to do? Like, are we going to complain that we didn't get Johan Duran at the trade deadline? What's that going to do? At this point, you deal with what you have, and that's what the Toronto Blue Jays got to do. But I think, like, you've seen it. I've seen it. I didn't really want to vocalize it. I still thought that John Schneider, just the way that he's been managing, was going to throw Brendan Little in a high leverage situation like this. And that's why when I did the series preview, I said, hey, Jeff Hoffman, Brendan Little, those are two guys that are going to have monumental moments. Unfortunately for Brendan Little, it did not go the right way. So I hope that John Schneider, at least like in a situation like this, especially when he did the day before, that's what drives me completely nuts, is that you threw your best guy, Jeff Hoffman, the guy that at least you should trust the most, in my opinion, in that 8th inning. Because again, that was the highest leverage spot. It doesn't matter that the 8th or the 9th inning. It's that the best hitters in the Mariners lineup were hitting in that 8th inning, and decide you go to Brendan Little. Okay, I'll leave it in the past now. Again, still driving me absolutely nuts, but we got to move on. You can't dwell on it anymore. You know, being mad at Brendan Little, John Schneider, the whole 9 yards about Game 5 isn't going to do us any good looking ahead. So we'll leave the negativity in the past, as much as it might be hard for me specifically, but I'll throw it over to you to kind of give the people a series preview. And all of the faith, got to be in the kid.
I think the worst part about, now I'm going back. I think the worst part about all of this is that we're all going to be sitting here on a Saturday thinking about this, reminiscing about this.
How am I going to sleep tonight? It's like, it's 2
a.m. It's 2:30 in the morning. We're not sleeping.
I'm going to be thinking about Brendan Little and just the pitch of hell, let's be honest, to just literally everybody, just all of the pitches. It could have been any of the 15 that he threw that night. By
the time that we get done this and I get it edited, it's just going to come out. That's where we're at here.
I think we needed this though. Like I needed the therapy session. I'm realizing that, there's a little bit of a stranglehold that the people have on me, because it's going to be tough to sleep to begin with, but if I didn't have the therapy session that we've been having right now, oh man, this is the worst I felt about a game in a very long time.
Listen, my acne's been getting a ton better. I try to keep my stress levels down. I try to, drink some water. I had 3 Pepsis going during this game. I was breaking out.
Probably forgot about the first 2. It's just like, oh crap, I already grabbed one of these.
My hair's gone probably. That was just not a good night for me. And now I'm not going to sleep, so it's just going to get worse. But no, let's talk about it. Game 6, one that the Blue Jays can get here, right? From now on, it's do or die, win or go home. That's where the Toronto Blue Jays are at. And this team, like you said, gets punched in the mouth over and over and over again, and punches right back. And they're good at that. And so I don't want to be completely out on this team. And I'm not completely out on this team. I fully believe that they can go to Rogers and win 2 games. They just did it in Seattle. They can do it back home. So I'm not completely out. I'm not worried. I'm not hitting the panic button. We're at the point now where it's just wait and see. Can the boys bring their A game? Can the kid have a great start and show the world what he's about again? Can John Schneider make the right decisions? How many times will they walk Cal Raleigh? How many times will Vladimir Guerrero Jr. get walked? We're just in a wait and see here. And me and you can sit here and spout our predictions all we want to. That's sort of the beauty of playoff baseball, is you really never know. We talk about it, right? Out of all the sports, NHL, NFL, baseball, I think we had this conversation like 2 weeks ago. Why do you love playoff baseball so much more than everything else? And it's because the game can change immediately. Everything that you've done can change with one pitch. And that's what's so awesome about this game, but also makes me want to, jump out of a window. But that's, love of the game.
See, usually, with other sports, like with the NFL, with the NHL, you kind of see the play developing and kind of sense when a goal is coming. And usually you don't get that in the major leagues. And I said we were going to leave it, but with Brayden Little's situation, it just felt like, it was going to happen. Sorry, I had to bring it up. I'm not going to be doing very good at this on this podcast. But this is another thing that I haven't been very good at, is I've been trying to speculate who the Mariners are going to throw. And I think I might be 0 for a million at this point. I've just been getting it wrong every single time, other than the Bryce Miller thing. They don't have it as it's to be determined. It should be Logan Gilbert. It really should be, but I would not be surprised if they, for some reason, Brian Wu might just throw again, even though he threw today. That doesn't make any sense, but we'll say for now that it's Logan Gilbert. Again, we'll see what happens, but Trey Savage is for sure going to be on the mound for the Toronto Blue Jays. And honestly, I don't think this game is going to be up to really Trey Savage. I think Trey Savage is going to be fine. And it's what you kind of brought up in the second segment, what I brought up in the second segment. And it's what has been the whole year. It's the offense. Can the offense show up? Can the offense score enough runs where this pitching staff feels comfortable? Trey Savage, elimination game, ALCS. So it's his 6th start as a Major League Baseball player. That's a lot of pressure. It would be very helpful to Trey Savage and just honestly the fan base, the Rogers Center, getting them involved in the game as well. Again, I've said it pretty much every game. It's the playoffs, but this one specifically, if you can not even score early, just don't let the Mariners score. And maybe that's more Trey Savage. But you can't get down early. You got to get the Rogers Center involved. And ideally, you score early, so it's easier on Trey Savage. But I'm not worried about Trey. I'm worried about the offense.
Yeah, as always, hey, we hope you guys enjoyed the bonus episode. This was, we don't do this all the time. I mean, we do 5 days a week, as is.
Your team every day. We're really doing.
We're really
coming through on that one.
Yeah. But, we can't get enough. Like Carter said, it's a therapy session sometimes. Sometimes we just like reading your guys' comments because, at least we know, okay, I'm not freaking out for no reason.
Yeah, last thing. Are you excited to read the comments for tomorrow? Where are we at? I'm I don't intrigued, but I'm also terrified. I'm looking for people, and that's what we want to see. So be sure, leave your comments right now. Hopefully you guys have done that already. Just your opinion on the Brayden Little situation. Would you brought in Sir Anthony Dominguez? Do you think George Springer is going to be okay? Is going to rain tomorrow? I don't care what it is. Just overall with your thoughts of the rest of the series, game 5, even if it's from games before, whatever opinions you guys have on the Toronto Blue Jays, we want to hear them. Maybe it will help us cope. Maybe it'll make us feel worse. I don't care what it is. It's probably a little bit of both, but we love reading your guys' comments, getting all the perspectives, the different outlooks on this baseball team, whether you're a casual fan or whether you're living and dying on every single pitch. Really feel like dying right now, but with the way the Toronto Blue Jays game went. But if you're like us, we appreciate whether you're, the biggest fan of all time or you're just tuning in for the playoffs. We appreciate every single one of you guys that are interacting with our podcast and making this possible for us to do at 2:30 on a Friday night. Absolutely insane. But we love doing it and we aren't going absolutely anywhere. Hopefully we have a lot more playoff content to bring you guys throughout the rest of the week, the rest of the year, the rest of the month, whatever you want to say. Thank you guys for watching, Brayden. I'll throw it back over to you one more time. Might as well. Anything else to add?
Sure. No. I think you've hit it nail on the head. We're closing in on 4,000 subscribers, and that's all because of you guys. I mean, the amount of views and comments and everything we've gotten over the past little bit here. We only started this year and a half.
Getting close to 2. It's getting January.
It's getting close to 2. So it's been an absolute blast. We love doing it. Don't get me wrong. Some days we're staying awake till 2:30 in the morning and talking Blue Jays. Because what would you rather be doing on a Friday night at 2:30 in the morning, right? Living
I got
the life.
nothing to do tomorrow. I mean, there's nothing on, literally. Like I'm betting on NHL now, and I'm not the biggest NHL guy of all time. But yeah, no NFL, no NBA, or sorry, NBA. Like I bet on that. MLB, like the ricochet shot at the NBA. I guess that's where we'll leave it. Thank you guys for watching. Will we be back with our regularly scheduled programming on Monday?